Hello viewers, thank you so much for joining Sir Raj's live telecast today. I'm Shivangi and with me I have Prakhar Gupta and he's going to shed some light on the Rafale deal post the Supreme Court judgment today, which has basically given a clean chit to both the central government and Reliance.
Yes, indeed, that is what has happened. And the Rafale detractors were basically talking about three things, which is were accusing the government of favoritism, not following the due process, and they said that the government has probably bought the aircraft at prices which were higher than what the UPA government was discussing with Dassault in 2012 or around that time when the initial agreement came up. So the court seems to have given a clean chit to the government on this. On favoritism, it has said there is no proof to believe that there was any sort of favoritism practiced by the Modi government, which not just gives Modi government, a chance to attack the opposition, but it also gives Ambani's the clean chit that they desperately wanted. Second is about the pricing, where the court has, refused to go into differential pricing details of the deal, in a way saying that, the prices must be kept. It has used the word must. If I'm not wrong, if if the reports have quoted the court correctly, the court says the prices must be kept probably secret or, should be unknown to other people. So, and the third thing which the court has ruled on is, not going into the, it is not going into the detail of the prices, and it's, clean chit on favoritism part, which, the Congress under Rahul Gandhi was accusing the government of practicing crony capitalism and favoring Anil Ambani.
So a couple of things that you said, one is to do with secrecy and also if you could shed some light on due process, based on what the Supreme Court judgment.
It was a government-to-government deal, and we do have some guidelines in the procurement process which the government had to follow, and given that the Supreme Court has now said that, it has come out strongly on this front, where it has said that the due process was followed. Right? So the Supreme Court has come out and said the due process was followed, and I think the debate should end there and then.
Considering documents were also submitted,
the government did submit documents in a sealed envelope to the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court held a marathon hearing and reserved its verdict.
And what about secrecy?
Secrecy, I think the government of India has a secrecy pact with France. Other than that, it makes commercial sense for the company. Because see, when you're developing an aircraft, you envisage that it will be sold to multiple countries. You don't want countries disclosing the prices, because then it puts the company in a difficult position, in a difficult negotiating position with other parties. And it also makes sense for the government of India to keep prices secret, because it in some ways can, if the government comes out and gives all the details of the prices, one can, make out what possibly are the enhancements that the Air Force has ordered. Possibly they are going for a nuclear delivery role, which will put France in a difficult position if it comes out. So I think those are the things that they don't want to, bring in the public domain, apart from obviously the clause or the agreement that they have with France.
I was just going to say that it's a strategic sector, so maybe that's why the secrecy clause even exists. We can talk about the pricing a little later, but the first thing that I want you to answer is the French president and also the CEO of Dassault had to come out and support the central government. Do you think the situation in India had gotten to a point where, international support was required?
See, I think the Congress went too far with its attack, right? So let us go into what happened. Apart from crony capitalism, apart from all those kind of allegations, they were also attacking in some cases, the French government, Dassault, and of course, Reliance. They were attacking, which is one firm which is willing to, or is willing to invest in the strategic sector, which is good for India in the long term. And I think it was really unfortunate that the French government and Dassault were cornered into, coming out in defense of not just government of India, but also their own defense, right? In one case, I believe, somebody even wrote to the French agencies which look into such cases to look into if, Dassault was anyway involved in corruption. That was really unfortunate. I think France being such an important strategic partner, it should not have been done. In a democracy, opposition has roles to play, but it should be, it has constitutional role to play. It should not, it should not do something which hurts this strategic, for the lack of a better word, strategic benefit. It should not hamper the, strategic relations of which the government is
the
trying to develop.
international relations are at stake, and especially with a country like France, who has been providing us so much support.
Yeah, so much support. I mean, they've given us, we bought fighters from them in the past.
In the past as
well. We're working
yeah.
with them on other strategic areas also, and I think diplomatically also. I mean, on diplomatic fronts also, they've been quite supportive of India. Yes, so it was, largely very unfortunate that the Congress went to that point, and it was not. It should have been confined to allegations.
Correct.
If it had to be to Government of India and to the Prime Minister, it should not have gone to that point.
Okay, that makes sense. Why don't we go into a little more details about, if I'm not wrong, the debate had started off with how 126 Rafales were to be bought, and now we have ordered only 36. The deal is only for 36. So was that actually tailor-made? Is that how it's supposed to be?
Yes, I think just 36 birds are coming home. Let's be sure about that. For now, we don't know what surprises the government may pull. I think it's not going to pull any surprises before the general elections. Maybe after the general elections it may go for more. But for now, 36 are coming, and why? It is because when Modi government came in power in 2014, around 2 years of negotiations had already taken place with Dassault. Between Dassault and the Indian government. And negotiations by some accounts had reached a dead end. There was no progress being made. When the Modi government came in, it went on the same line, kept negotiating for another 2.5 years, if I'm not wrong. I think for some time, some substantial amount of time. And then I think at some point the government realized that it's not going to work. Plus, although it's not in public domain, I think the Air Force was also pressing the government for quicker acquisition, because see, we should have around 42 squadrons of fighters, and we for now have around 30-31, which, I mean, a large chunk of which are completely obsolete, right? Around 11 to 12 squadrons of which are completely obsolete. So we are technically
effectively just have 20.
I mean, if on paper we have 31, but I mean, effectively, no. I mean, even the Sukhois are not, performing to the
potential.
To the best.
The
serviceability has been low, and MiGs are very old.
Flying coffins.
They're called flying coffins. Often, although I mean, people who fly them would not always agree to it. But that's for another day. So what the government did was it went ahead with 36 off-the-shelf purchases. Now, why off-the-shelf? See, had the government gone for 36 aircraft and wanted to manufacture it in India, that would have made no economic sense at all, right? Because first of all, negotiations would have taken a long time, right? It was basically negotiations with, it was the part where HAL's manufacturing was involved, where the negotiation got stuck. So it would have taken a lot of time to negotiate. Had the negotiations gone through for 36 to be manufactured in India, setting up infrastructure, transferring, technology and all would have taken a lot of time. So I think it was the right decision to go for just 36. It was an emergency purchase, and this is not something new. We have done. We've bought, a small number of squadrons of fighters before in emergency when Pakistan got F-16s from US. We went in for emergency purchase. We bought Mirage 2000s. So, I mean, we bought small number of aircraft before in cases of emergency. It's not something new. I think the opposition would, of course, want to portray it as something which is...
paint a different picture.
So, basically that's it.
Couple of questions from what you said. One would be based on, if you could go more into detail about pricing. And another jab that the opposition keeps taking at the current government is why HAL was not involved. I know you spoke a little about it, but if you could talk about these
I think
two
we'll
things.
treat them as two different questions. Right. First, pricing. I think on the pricing front, a lot of debate has been misinformed.
Okay.
Right. Although.
Why do you say that?
Because I think the Congress or the opposition or Rahul Gandhi has been constantly quoting the price to be around, to have risen by,
inflated,
by 300% in some cases, and he's changed, figures and something of that sort has happened. So that has created a lot of confusion.
Okay.
Let's be sure there are modifications being made to the plane, which by some accounts will make the fighter which is being delivered to India by Dassault much more capable than those being operated by the French Air Force.
Wow.
This is by some accounts. I'm not sure because nobody has insights into what modifications actually have been asked. I mean, there could be some part of it could be secret. We don't know. That. So all of that adds to the cost.
Okay.
Then, of course, we're buying just 36. So that does, make a difference. But more than that, all of this includes weapons, right? I told you about the add-ons already.
Correct.
So I mean, all of this does, maintenance, serviceability, contracts. All of this will, will add to the cost, of course. And there is built-in inflation. So the deal was to be
5 or 6 years ago.
Ideally it should have been signed around 2011, 12, 13.
Correct.
Now we're signing it around 2016. Of course, there's inbuilt, inbuilt inflation. But yes, I mean, these are the things that the cost may have gone up for. But I think the government has been able to negotiate a better deal. And as Arun Jaitley has in some cases said that it was around 9 to 10% cheaper than the deal that was being actually negotiated by the government of India under during the UPA era.
That's true. And the second question was about HAL.
HAL not being part of the deal. See, when you just need 36 aircraft, it does not make economic sense to manufacture them in India. So there's no role for HAL then, right? Had we been manufacturing these aircraft in India, 126, all of the, a majority of those aircraft, it made economic sense. 36, it does not. Then I think it has also been said that HAL, in some sort has been, it has been removed, like,
HAL out, Reliance in.
There's some confusion there. I think HAL and other public sector undertakings are still part of the offset clause.
Okay.
Will in some cases benefit from the offset if the reports that are being put out by some blogs are correct.
Okay.
So HAL, I think it's not that some kind of favoritism has been practiced, as the court has already said. So HAL was not intentionally, or it was not a bad intention on part of the government to remove it, given it is its own company and it's already manufacturing aircraft like Sukhoi and all, it's building out of knockoff kits. So I think it's not a case of HAL being deliberately removed out of some ill intention. It is a part of it. I mean, it had to be because we are buying aircraft off the shelf.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another question in terms of Reliance, like we already spoke about how HAL out, Reliance in. So now that the SC has given them a clean chit, what do you think the possible political ramifications of this judgment could be?
First, let me clarify another point, which is how Reliance came in.
Okay.
Right? So there are two things. Reliance is not manufacturing Rafale.
Okay.
On multiple television debates, I've heard misinformed party, spokespersons, claiming that Reliance will manufacture Rafale, which is completely untrue. Nobody can be further away from the truth if he or she is claiming that.
Yeah.
There's no manufacturing on.
So how does it work?
It is, Reliance comes in at the offset execution, as a result of the offset execution clause, which the government of India under Manmohan Singh put in 2005, under which 30% of the plunders which the foreign manufacturers make in, while selling equipment to India, they had to invest a part of 30% of that into the Indian ecosystem to
within the Indian ecosystem,
which helps bringing in some of the foreign currency that
but if I understand, that has also been skewed in India's direction with the new deal.
Yes, now in this deal, I think the government has increased it to 50%, which is great because see, I think fighter aircraft are one of the most sophisticated piece of equipment
Correct.
that any military buys.
Technology-wise.
And that has been one area where India has lagged. India has built tanks, may not have been very successful at it, may have been. That's another debate. But fighter aircraft is one place where, although we have built Tejas, but even it took 30 odd years to build.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the time frame it took.
Yeah.
So I think we needed some, nudge or some kind of investment in this sector.
Correct.
So it does help, although not the Reliance would not be into manufacturing any Rafale, as far as we know. It does help, bringing in some technology, and I think under the offset clause, the companies that are involved in the deal will be investing, in India, all these companies, and Dassault has already signed a contract with, I think they have entered a deal with Reliance, and they are setting up a facility somewhere in Nagpur, around with 800 crores of investment initially, which, if I'm not wrong, will be doing something related to the Falcon jets, which Dassault manufactures.
Yeah.
That part I'm not very sure about, but yeah, I mean that it is on those lines.
So all's well that ends well, but I don't know if it's ended yet. So I'm going to come back to your political ramifications. What do you think today?
I think it's not ended yet. See, one part where the opposition has found refuge is, they are citing the Supreme Court order where it says that the court would not go into the details of differential pricing.
Correct.
So they are finding refuge there, but they do not want to underscore the point that the court has come out and said that the prices must be kept, secret or something to that effect.
Yeah.
The court has said, I don't recall the exact word, but it has said that the price should not be revealed. It must not be revealed.
Yes.
So it uses the word must, which the opposition should take into account. Given that Rahul Gandhi has been calling for, revelation on the prices on the floor of the House, government cannot do that.
Correct.
Even the Supreme Court seems supportive of that. So I think the debate has in the political arena, it has definitely not ended, but this does give government a shot in the arm, especially when it is coming out of defeat in 3 assembly elections in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh.
Correct.
So it does give the government a chance to, flip the narrative.
Correct.
But yeah, even the opposition is playing, on the front foot. So I think this will, it will be some time before the debate on this comes to an end.
Yeah, but I think so close to the 2019 elections, it seems that it's a positive.
Yes, it does, because I think, as I mentioned initially, it is unfortunate that this went to such an extent. I think this should have been confined to backdoor consultation with the government.
Talks, yes.
If the opposition was really concerned about some kind of misdoing on government's part, it should have been discussed behind, if possible, behind closed doors, or in an all-party meeting or something, some arrangement of that sort, maybe a secrecy, some opposition leaders being given some access to details under the secrecy clause or something. I don't know much about that. I may have to look into it, but yeah, there could be some sort of arrangement where it could have been less messier.
Yeah. But now that it's out in the open, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for giving us this insight. Thank you, viewers, for joining, and keep tuned into Swarajya for further updates.